we could make money because it's not a haircut. I don't know, are you thinning it out any bit? Bliss? I don't know, are you? She's going to town on it and she's kind of pulling at it as well. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Yarn from the Barn. Now, I'm out in the sunshine. There we go. There's Joy. Joy, don't eat the phone, whatever you do. So, yes, we're live down here in Hambuy in Ivara. And what a beautiful morning, a powerful morning. Joy, don't eat the phone. A beautiful morning here in Ivara, and I've all the gang with me. There's Ruby. Druid is over there. Saoirse's up in the ditch. Jolene is around as well. Things have calmed down a little bit because, yes, to be honest, I didn't have to, but just, you know, they need caring. Goats need caring, so you have to look after the goats you have. And there's been a shift in dynamics and a shift in energy in the goat herd, but that's all good. We're all fine. We're all settling down again, and it's great that goats get a good place to live. You know, that's the big thing. It's weird. I'm a kind of a strange person, and wherever I'm living, that's my home, and I don't really look outside that to be anywhere else. And the people that are around me and that I interact with, I don't care for anybody else. They're the people. I give 100% to wherever I am and whoever I'm with, I suppose, is the best way of doing it. So I'm never hankering after somewhere or hoping somewhere else or anything like that. So it's a weird one. And then when I move my full attention to wherever I am again. You know, I suppose it's kind of living in the moment. But of course, if somebody pops up along the way from my past, I'm always delighted to see them and hear from them and stuff like that. But I suppose then, in a way, you're never lonely then, because you're happy wherever you are and who you're with, do you know? And what goats I have here, they're the goats that I should have, and they're the goats that I'm going to look after and give 100% to. And I suppose that's it. That's all you can do, rather than hankering and wondering and maybe and if. No, this is it. This is the way to go. So I hope people have had a good week. The weather has really cleared up. And we had a touch of the Scaravian. Beidir go bheidh sé ag teacht arís. I don't know, would it come back again? But the Scaravian here is a rough bit of dry, hard wind. And Garav is rough. Glen is Glen. And it's said to bring the cuckoo, this wind, because it brings the cuckoo from wherever it's coming from. South Africa, I think, or Africa, I think the cuckoo comes from. But I haven't heard them yet. But a good few people have told me they heard them. In Leitrim, South Leitrim, they heard it. And a few other people as well. So it's great to hear the cuckoo is around. And of course, that story always sticks with me, that when they were trying to have the king of the birds and who was the best bird, that they suggested who was going to build the best nest would be the king. And because the cuckoo used to build a fantastic nest. Nobody saw a nest like it. But then a few other birds who were kind of manipulative changed that to who could fly the highest, because they wanted somebody else to win. They didn't like the cuckoo to win because she was great at building her nest and everything like that. And that's when the cuckoo took revenge, and she said, I'll never build a nest again, but by golly, I'll put my eggs into your nest and you can rear my chick for me. So the cuckoo won out in the end. So, any more news? There's a lot of news on the way. I suppose I have two very definite ideas that are coming into manifestation, as they say, that are coming into being. And one idea I've had is maybe another kind of program like this, but a little bit longer, and introducing, oh, who's that now? Another hairdresser. Oh, foot on my head. But another program like this, but more about friends and guests and different people I know and different things that are going on in my area and stuff like that. And kind of, I suppose, like a little magazine show. Bliss is now, God bless her. Look at that. So I like to use a lot of Zoom and stuff like that and pre-recorded stuff for this show. So, So it's going to be once a month, the last Thursday of every month, starting next Thursday, the last Thursday in April at 8 p.m. And it was decided last night that I'm definitely going to do it, and got a few guests on the go, and we'll just see how it goes. Do you know, again, I'm getting much better at not overthinking things and not trying to work it out brilliantly. Just see how it goes. And the name then, I mean, I really did want to call it some sort of kind of a Skellig shit hot name. Skellig this or Skellig that or Skellig feet or Skellig, you know. And I mean, growing up, Skellig was hardly used at all. Skellig, the Skellig Rock Bar, who's now, what's just now kind of Skellig Soaps, my good friend Alice Dennehy runs. And other than that, you wouldn't really hear. Des Lavelle wrote a book, The Skellig Story, and that was kind of it when it came to Skelligs growing up. But there was it had such a huge presence in all our lives, because every morning going to school or going somewhere, you'd see it. It's such a strong shape and a strong presence, you know. And I suppose even as a child, when somebody would be going on about the monks, I always felt, who was there before the monks? And I often think that was, I'd like to believe, I suppose is the best way of putting it, that there was a big pagan presence out there, and that's why the monks actually went. That's the reason was to kind of sugarcoat what the pagans were doing out there and make it their own. So again, it's just a nice idea, and it's a thing I always a story I always flirt with, and I've been writing about it and stuff. So then somebody was talking to me over the week, and so many beautiful people talk to me. Loads of people talk to me, but some beautiful people say beautiful things along the way. And I thank you to everybody who just makes me feel so good about what I'm doing, and just yarn in the barn and the goats in the morning and now this. And the one thing they said was, Sean, you're probably one of the most authentic people on screen. And that really hit a little nerve. I got a little bit choked up with that, and it was such a lovely thing to hear. So again, the Skellig thing is great, but it's not really, as I say, when I write about the Skelligs, that will be called something about the Skelligs. But so the name of the program is Ivara, My Home, because that's what it's all about. Ivara and the home and the people I know and what's going on and stuff like that. And it's the best way. And of course, there'll be some people come up with other ideas of the boundaries of Ivara and what Ivara is and what is my home and what isn't my home. But you know what? You have to listen to Thunder. So that's going out next Thursday, and I'm very excited. I'll be putting out a Facebook page for that. So I'll be asking people to share that if you don't mind. And the second idea, and it's kind of mad. Well, it just came to me yesterday. I thought suddenly came to me, got rest Shea Healy and Nighthawks and everything. I was thinking of that great Blaheen McKeevery. But I was in class. We're back in class now, and this leadership project we've been doing. So I've got the students got all their kind of podcast bits together, and they've helped each other getting that together and stuff. And then, so I was saying, God, I better download a program to edit all the sound bits and put it together and make a little program. And I was thinking, God, maybe I should get the class to do that. But again, there's the way courses are now, to come up with new skills halfway through or to come up with great ideas, there's not much room for that. That's very much, we want you to show, it's that kind of like Judge Judy. If it, wow, what a new skill. I don't need to have a new skill. Good morning, Maureen. How's it going? Lovely to see you. And then a thought suddenly struck me. Because people have been saying I should write a book of all my stories and stuff, and that probably will come. But an audio book, I don't know where to go or what to do or something like that. It was like, yes, I sent in an email to a program saying would they like to feature me, and of course I have no television and I wouldn't watch it, so I have no idea what I'm talking about. So it's again audiobooks. Where do you get an audiobook, or does it have to be written? But that might be an idea, because I could just record me telling the stories and have that up there, and that would be great because I know people are mad to support me. They'd like to buy something of me, so that would be a good. And maybe even you could have 20 stories at a go. Oh, look who's here now. Who's this? Is this the Rubes? It is. Oh, the Rube. Look at that. There's Ruby Wax if Katie is watching. I tell you, my hair, I suppose, is like grass. Oh! Oh, it's when they put their neck down, their leg down my neck. Now, Ruby, this is short back and sides. We leave the length at the top. I suppose there's great nutrients in my hair. God bless it. There we go. Yes, it'll be a great day to go to the barbers. It'll be a great day to go because I go to a man in Tralee, and it's very satisfying actually because the man loves goat's milk. So I bring a bottle of milk with me as part of the haircut, and he just drinks it. He just bottles it down. So it's a great. I get great satisfaction out of that. You know what I mean? I don't know, but so it's great, and he gives a good haircut as well. So I suppose I feel proud of what I do, and that he's being very authentic. He doesn't try and pretend he likes goat's milk. He drinks it there in front of me. But this morning's story is all about a kingdom, and the king that was there didn't have any children of his own to take over the throne. Ruby. We'll have to get curlers for Ruby to put in my hair, will we? So this leader didn't have any children to take over, and he was quite worried about that. And then he said, "Do you know, I'm not going to be worried. I will hold a competition, and all the people in the kingdom can enter. And the one thing you have to remember, that the person who is the leader of the kingdom, who is the king of the kingdom, has to love everybody, has to be kind to just about everybody in the kingdom." And that's really what we're looking for here. And word got out, and all the universities and the scholars and the PhD students, they were all very excited, and they said, "Oh, we could do that. Oh yes, and we care so much about people because we care so much that we kind of invent ways that we could help people, and we research how best that we could help people in different ways, and and it was very good." And then the rich people, Ruby. The rich people got involved, and they said, "Oh, we could be king because we give like 0.5% of our riches every year to the poor, and we're very kind to everybody." Ruby, we're very kind to everybody. And then the famous people, the celebrities, got involved, and they said, "Well, if the rich people have the attention, and the scholars and the intelligentsia have the attention, we definitely need the attention as well. And one of us should become leader because we are so caring. We advocate so many charities, and we urge people to support the poor charities that support the poor people. And one of us should be the leader." And they all started off anyway between the intelligentsia and the rich and the famous. They all went out and they said they were going to become the king, one of them. And they all went it out, but there was one poor little goat herd down in a little village away at the edge of the kingdom at the foot of a mountain. And he was, thanks to Ruby, sorry, we're live. Thanks to Ruby that fell off there. It's so funny, I do laugh because I often think of teachers and stuff when things are going great, but if they lose their temper like that when something goes wrong, it's really funny. But anyway. So they were all getting ready for the competition to see who was the kindest person to everybody in the kingdom. And the little goat herd said he would try as well. But he said, "It's a long way off to the kingdom, to the palace. And I need a good coat because the weather wasn't great. And you just can't trust the weather in that kingdom." So he said, I need a good coat. So he asked people in the village, would anybody have a coat to give him? And what the people of the village did is they all put their spare pennies together and they raised enough money to buy a great black coat for the goatherd to go to the kingdom and to become the king, because he was very kind, this goatherd. He'd always chat to people and he'd always listen to people, and he was very kind to his animals as well. And they reckoned that he should be king. So the palace was opened up. It was like the Eurovision and the US presidential election all put together. It was huge, and there was people coming from everywhere. And the famous people were saying, oh, I love to help poor people. I just love them. I love the poor people. And the rich people were saying, oh, yes, and I will give so much money. I'll give 100 euros to feed 1,000 people. And I'm very good because that is such a percentage of my earnings every year. And then the intelligentsia were saying, oh, we could really research a wonderful way that would help not have poor people and to help poor people not be poor. And that's very important. And there was terrible fracas and fricka going on trying to see who would be the king of the kingdom. And they were heading one by one, and there was a gateway, and outside the gateway there was a poor old crater, a beggar man, and he was sitting down, he had his little jar, and he was looking for pennies. Well, that was all right. The intelligentsia went in and they said, oh, we don't have any money at the moment. But when we do, when we have money, we will research the best way for you to get out of poverty. And the poor man said, God, there isn't much eating in that, is there? And they went in, and then the rich people came along, and they said, oh, look at you. We will help fund, if there's a tax break, we will introduce a tax break so that we can build buildings and shelters, so you won't have to be outside the palace and make it look horrible. You can go somewhere else and be poor there. And that was all right. And then the famous people came along and they took loads of selfies with the poor person. And they said, oh, it's terrible, isn't it? Oh, I love you. Mwah, and walked in. So that was all right. But the little goatherd was walking in and he saw the beggar man. And he stopped. And he took 2 steps in. And he thought better of it and he walked back again. And he said to the beggar man, do you know, I was going to go for this competition. But to see you there without any coat and all your little gibbles, take my coat, because I thought the coat would get me the prize of being a king. But it really doesn't matter. You need this coat more. So he gave the beggar man the coat. And that was all right. So they all went in. The intelligentsia, the rich and the famous people, they all went in the door and they were all sitting around the place. Oh, who's up here now? Driocht. It is little Driocht. And they were all sitting inside waiting for the announcement who was going to be king after the king. And then the trumpets went. I'm not very good at trumpet sounds. So and the caller said, all rise for His Majesty the King. And so they all stood up. And the king walked out in his glory. And what was he wearing? Only the goatherd's coat. And he made a great speech and he said, to all the intelligentsia who are going to research ways of getting me out of poverty, I thank you so much, but that doesn't help me today. To all the rich people who are going to fund projects that will have me away out of sight of the palace gates, that is very worthy, but it doesn't help me today. And to all the famous people who took selfies and made me feel so good and said they love me, but that doesn't help me today. And to the goatherd who gave me the coat, you are now the king after me. So the king retired and he spent a long time mentoring and advising the new king, but the goatherd nearly had it all off himself. Because the one thing you have to do is look after the people of the kingdom. And I think it is. We can get so caught up in trying to do really good when sometimes, I mean, even it doesn't have to be money you give all the time. It can be of yourself and to chat and to listen to people. Because so often I see that now. you know, if you're upset or if you're rushing or anything, you don't have the time to stop and say hello and to really listen, to really be there and present in the moment when somebody is talking to you. Do you know what I mean? And that is so, I think it's so important that we have that. So I think that's kind of it. It's a short yarn from the barn this morning. We have next Thursday night at 8 o'clock, by hook or by crook or by Zoom or by Doom. I'll either be zooming or dooming. Um, that's home. Eva my home. We'll have that up and running, and I'll let you know about this audiobook. I think it would be nice and to record it out in the open air with the goats, and we'll have to have Grover barking in it, of course. We'll have to have her. She's doing great as well. Grover has a friend now, Isla, who lives next door, and they have a lot of play dates, and she runs and barks and tears and wears herself out. But it was difficult now yesterday. She had a lot of time inside. But it's great. Dogs are fantastic as they're getting older, as they're like everything, like everybody. She's settling down a little bit, and she knows I'll be home, and she knows I'll have her out there. But it's good, and like that when she's down here, and when we move down, hopefully things will be very different as well. So I am just thinking that is it. Did I have anything more to say or to tell you? See, this is where I should make a list and have a list of everything going. But sure, if I had a list, I'd be efficient, and if I was efficient, I wouldn't be that interesting. That's always the way I look at it. And the goats are quiet, and everybody is enjoying this heat, enjoying this warm weather. It's very much like this time last year. In fact, in a way, you can see that kind of the end of April, May, June into June is really like the summer weather. And later on, it may be not as much, but it would be great if we could just announce, yeah, you know, the weather is great, let's have a couple of days of summer. But I suppose that we'd wreck the country if it's not wrecked already. But that'd be great. We'd be all off for summer every couple of days. You see, I'd make a great king. No, oh, do you know what it is? I'm just thinking. All the goats, I don't know if you can see. I'll do it this way. All the goats are shard out, as my mother would say, except for Bliss. They're all shard out all over the place. And so that's what's kind of not taking my energy, but influencing me to be nice and relaxed and stuff as well. They just love the sunshine. As I say, this field could really do with a rest. So the other field is growing down by the strand. That's coming on nicely, but it could do it another week. So again, as I say, there'll be lots of energy, lots of moving, but that's good too. It is really good. Life is not for staying still. Nothing in life stays still for I don't think for any length of time. And I suppose that's what the Celts always had in their life as well. Oh yes, I'm some doodah, aren't I some doodah? Last week I started on about the folklore and the history of Ireland, and this week I totally forgot about it. So where did we get to? No, I think what I'm going to do, because somebody did say to me, and of course I take a lot of suggestions in, and people are chatting to me. Good morning, Jane. Should be the audio tape's very good. It's just gone because I'm in the sunshine now, and but I will definitely. There'd be something nice to do, and people could have. I think there'd be a nice addition to everything going on, but. Yes, somebody was saying they couldn't follow the folklore, so it might be better on its own in a separate thing that I could do as well on YouTube, a different playlist or anything. My God, do you know, I mean, if I had a little office that I could plug in a laptop and work at it, it is unknown what I'd come up with. But I'm still back and forth and plugging it in and charging it up and bringing it over and heisting it and over and back. So someday we'll get sorted, and then I'll be dangerous. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a beautiful week. We'll talk to you again. We'll see you in the mornings around 8:20. Things are getting more hectic now, so it might be earlier or later. But that's good too. As I say, I suppose we can get so stuck in our ways and like things as they are. But just like the willow, the willow is a fantastic tree the way it bends with the wind. Other trees snap very easily, but the willow just bends, 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 and then comes back again. A bit like the bamboo as well. And I think that's what we need to do, is bend with the winds of change, because if we don't, we snap. And there's no point in snapping now anymore. So I'll be off. I'll be filming, talking to guests, getting stuff ready, and we'll see you Thursday night for Eva Am My Home. Slán and ish gach duine, go raibh maith agat ar fad. Thank you ever so much, everyone.